when my inner child has big emotions, like when I remember like the things that I did not get as a child, or the ways that I've been wronged as a child, and my inner child feels that. It's a deep feeling of just that dissatisfaction, discontentment, and emotional turmoil. How I show love to my inner child is just by sitting with that emotion, just sitting there, imagining like my inner child just beside me, and we just sit with each other. Because as a child, I was neglected a lot. I went through so much hardships that nobody noticed I was going through hardships. So I was by myself a lot as a child, and nobody was around me to really comfort me as I was going through hard experiences. So now as an adult, and I get to, when my inner child remembers those experiences, I get to just sit down and be the adult that they needed as a child. My inner child doesn't really want to be told like, oh, stop crying, I'm sorry, it's gonna be better. No, my inner child just wants presence. Deep presence. Like just the presence of an adult, the presence of someone that can just be there and be present without any distraction. No distraction from their own emotional world, no distraction from their own financial problems, just presence, full on presence. And that has healed me a whole lot. Just ability to sit with my emotions and sit and be present with my inner child while they're going through the motion is something that has been quite impactful for me. So leave in the comments if you want me to talk about the inner child and how to foster that relationship. I have a blog post actually on what your inner child wants. I'm going to leave a link in the description up below. So do check it out and comment. Just share your comments. Let me know what you're thinking so I can create content around that, because I would love to. I have so much knowledge to share. Next on from things that I'm working on in therapy are healing from failed relationships and friendships. And for so long, I thought the problem was me. I was like, oh my God, I'm the problem. I'm the cause of the reasons why I cannot make friends and I cannot keep relationships. But unfortunately, it wasn't my fault. My parents never modeled what a positive friendship and relationship looks like. And your parents are the blueprints for all of this. So when you don't have that strong foundation, you fall into being around the wrong people for the wrong reasons. And I've been there, and I've had to pull myself out from those relationships, from the depths of hell. And I'm better off for it, because now I get to heal from those experiences and actually know what caused them in the first place. And with that awareness, I'm able to choose differently in the future of kind of friends and relationships that I want to have in my life, because I'm choosing differently from a more aware space, if that makes sense. Grief work is something that you have to work on in therapy, because as children, we don't have the mental faculties to process grief. Grief is a very complicated emotion. There is anger, there is pain, there is sorrow, sometimes there is relief even. Like, grief is such a strange experience to go through, and this can happen when you lose a parent, like when your father dies or your mother dies as a child. Like, there is a lot of grief attached to that experience, and that grief has to be addressed. That grief is not going to go anywhere. That grief is just not going to go anywhere. It's just right there within your body, trapped emotions within your body that you need to address and pull out of you to be able to be more free, gain a higher perspective on how that loss happened for you. For example, when you lose your father as a young child, that could be the worst thing that could happen to you, but it can also be a thing that fosters an insane level of independence within you. Like, it could foster an incredible level of resilience within you, because you understand that in this world, only you can protect yourself. Only you has your own back. Only you can provide for yourself. And when you learn, it's like a skill. When you learn over and over again how to be independent and how to be resilient and how to provide for yourself, it just becomes your second nature. And these are things that people that haven't lost their fathers will never understand. They'll never understand what it takes to survive after that kind of event. So if you've lost a parent and you've not accessed that grief, understand that it's stored within your body. I'm sending you so much love and compassion, but just know that there's a way out. It's not, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna live a full, happy, content life, and you're safe and you're loved, and everything is working out for you. Trust me on that. If you're watching this video, especially, help is on the way, I promise you. Something else that I've had to work on in therapy is lying. I used to be such a bad liar, even if just lying incessantly and unconsciously as well. I've had to maturing, I had to reflect on certain experiences that I've had and see that those experiences were caused because I was a liar. and I've taken full accountability for my lies. I was just a child that did not know any better, and my lying was a protective mechanism to protect me from the harshness of the world. Like if I lied, if I didn't say the truth, if I didn't tell people like who I really was and what my truth really is, then they have no weapon to attack me with, But lying is not a positive thing, because if you start lying to the world, you begin to lie to yourself. And when you lie to yourself, you can distort so much of your own truth that you end up living in inauthenticity, which drowns you in your traumas and in your woundings even further. So lying is something that has been normalized in society, but it's not something that we should engage in, especially when it comes from trauma. You can lie to certain people, like when you need your distance and you don't want them to know anything about you, that is fine. But when you are lying as a protective mechanism, as a defense mechanism, that is when it becomes a problem, because you don't let genuine people into your life. Your lies act as a barrier that actually blocks them out, and we do not want that, And another thing I've had to work on in therapy is trust issues. I'm not there yet. I don't trust a single soul. The only person that I trust in this world is God, the universe. Like, that's about it. I don't trust a single soul. People have been incredibly violent towards me for practically no reason. Like, I can just exist and be breathing the wrong way, and somebody can just try to destroy my entire life. It's just happened too many times that I've gotten used to it. As sad as that might sound, I've just gotten used to people just wanting to attack me and destroy my life for whatever reason. I feel like my light triggers a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. But that has given me a lot of trust issues, because I don't feel like I can open up to anybody and feel safe in doing that. But it became a problem when I fell in love, and I fell in love with this beautiful person, and I want to share my life with this person. But how can I do that? That is a problem when you don't trust the person that you're in love with or you want to share your life with. It's not possible, because love is a mathematical equation. It's a mathematical equation. It's not a feeling. It's not a love is respect, understanding, trust, communication, and forgiveness equals love. So respect plus understanding plus trust plus communication plus forgiveness equals love. So you can't get to love if you're skipping steps. And for so long I tried to skip the trust step. Like, I can still love you but I don't trust you though. It doesn't work like that. You have to work on those trust issues, which are caused by sometimes parental figures that were untrustworthy. If you can't trust your parents, you can't trust anyone in the world, because your parents are the model for the world. It's a fact. Self-worth is something that I'm also working on in therapy. My self-worth has been dragged through the mud by people, like, especially when I moved to the US. Like, people could not understand why I had a high self-esteem as a young person coming from Africa. Like, you're poor, you are an illiterate, you're uneducated, you are black, you are ugly, you are not like the beauty standard or you don't fit into the status quo in any way possible, any shape or form. So why do you have any self-worth? Why do you have any self-esteem? And people have actively tried to undermine my self-worth and my self-esteem. They've actually tried to damage that. And this is not like a stab. This is like a stab and a twisting to really make the damage even more irreparable. But luckily, when you're pure at heart, anything is possible. The universe has helped me see my own self-worth above what the world determines is my self-worth. Like, my self-worth doesn't come from the world anymore. It doesn't come from external validation of the people around me, like, oh, you are worth this. My worth comes from the universe. It comes from spirit. It comes from God. It comes from the person that put me on this planet. And if the universe says you are worth a mountain of gold, you're priceless. Like, you cannot be bought because you're just that priceless. That is my truth, and that is not going to change, because it's what it is. It takes a lot to get to this point where your self-worth is not based on the external physical world, but based on your spiritual identity. It's a lot to get there, but you can get there. It's possible. If I have done that, coming from my background, then I believe anybody could do that. This is another thing that I've worked on in therapy, and I want to make another episode too on homosexuality for Africans specifically. So keep an eye out and subscribe so you don't miss that. It's a big one. But this ties into that for healing chronic shame. When you grow up in a world that does not reflect your gender and sexual orientation and identity, you end up with chronic shame. And it doesn't help you when the world is actively shaming you on a daily basis. Like they're actively shaming you for who you are as a person, that they have no understanding of, because they don't have the intellect to understand and perceive things outside of this narrow box and this narrow lane that people have postulated as the norm. The chronic shame that I've had to heal exposed me to the idea that people are actually dumber than we give them credit for. The people that shamed me for who I am were not smarter than I am. They could not match my intellect, but they were the ones shaming me, and I took on that shame because I thought that they knew something that I did not, or they were right, but they were wrong. In fact, they were wrong. I'm going to make an episode on this so we can talk further on how all the different ways that they were wrong, because who you are as a person is someone to love regardless of what the world has to say about it. You are lovable. You will receive love when you love yourself. You are precious. You're special. You're one of a kind. You're beautiful. So if people are trying to shame you, it's because they're carrying a lot of shame and they want to give you that gift. It's a gift. They're trying to give it to you. So you have to work in therapy to relieve that shame from your body, because we all carry some amount of shame. Especially when you're African and you come from a poor background, there is shame attached with that too, that you carry around, that you have to overcome to really become your higher self, the person that the universe made you to be. It's a process, but you can get there. PTSD. This is post-traumatic stress disorder. I've had so much PTSD in my life that PTSD became my norm. Like being in a state of constant dysregulation was my norm. I accepted it. It was my life. It was who I am, and I didn't have the energy, the willpower to change that. So it became my norm until I saw all the ways it was hindering my life. I suggest that you look up what PTSD means and see if any of that resonates with you, because then you have a first step of something to work on and relieve yourself of. The first step is creating safety for yourself, and you have to create a safe space, a safe environment for you to exist within. And sometimes that means you have to be alone for a long period of time to regain that sense of safety in the world again. And that safety is going to lead you to having a more regulated nervous system. And people don't talk about this a lot, but if you have PTSD, get a cat. Just listen to me and do it. Just get a cat. Get a cat, because they're going to help you get through that. My cat helped me, and I'm grateful for her, but it's just something that I think it should become a norm, that when you're going through heavy PTSD symptoms, you should get a cat. It's going to help you reconnect with your inner nurturing systems, and that is going to help you nurture the cat, and the cat is still going to pour that love back into you. And when you have that symbiosis of love, it heals your heart, it heals your soul, it heals your nervous system. Cats are ridiculously regulated. Their nervous systems are machine type systems of regulation, and when they are on you, when they're on your body, when you're petting them, you are sort of sharing in their regulation, and over time you guys sort of bond and have that connection where their nervous system becomes your own in a way and sort of heals you. It's not a common practice, but it has worked for me, and that's why I'm sharing it with the world. This is another one of something else that I've had to work on in therapy, and this has been my anxious attachment. Attachment disorders in general come from parental figures. Like if you're avoidant attachment, you're disorganized attachment, you're anxiously attached to people, it's from your parents. You should blame them and you should call them out and have them be responsible for that. But you can work on that to fix it. But this is interesting because it's a two-way street. When there's an attachment wounding, the person that you're attached to, that you are exhibiting symptoms of an anxious or avoidant attachment, that person also has to be aware of that and be willing to help you. That is where you have to really love whoever you're with, so you guys can really share in that healing experience of recovering from traumatic childhoods. These are some other things that I've been working on in therapy, which is self-forgiveness. Like it's one thing to forgive people for what they've done to you. It's one thing to forgive them. It's one thing to let it go. It's one thing. That is one thing. Difficult as it may, it's very difficult. It takes years to really forgive and let it go and take action based on that level of forgiveness. It's a whole another thing to forgive yourself. It's a whole other thing to forgive yourself. Like you have to do the work to forgive yourself. The only person that needs your forgiveness is actually you. You're going to spend your life by yourself, alone, for a bulk of it. So you must be your own best friend. And how can you be your best friend if you don't forgive your best friend when they, do things that you don't like. Sometimes we don't take accountability for the things that we let allow happen to us in our lives. And that lack of accountability is a problem because you don't see where you need to forgive yourself. And if you don't forgive yourself, you are carrying self-hate. You resent yourself. The psyche just splits after a traumatic event, and self-forgiveness sort of bridges it back with compassion and self-awareness. It's a process. I am feeling called right now to offer an extension. So if anybody out there is watching this video and you need like a more personalized conversation on how you can recover from trauma, maybe outside of the norm or societal depictions of ways to recover, just send me an email. Shoot me an email. My email is info@patrichuka.com. Let me know what your struggles are, and by the grace of the universe, I'm willing to actually help support you through your recovery. Just let me know. Fear of failure is another thing too. I mean, everybody has a fear of failure, no matter how well raised you are. Like, you're gonna fear failing, but failing is the one thing that we should be encouraged to do as children over and over and over and over again. In fact, if I ever have children, which I'm not gonna do that to myself, but I would encourage my children to fail a lot. Like, I'm going to put them in situations where they fail, actually. I want them to develop a tolerance for failing and set up environments where they actually succeed at something. So they see that failure is not the end. Failure is it's not a crucifixion to fail. You're not going to die if you fail. So if you fear failure, it's fine. Still do it anyways with the fear. Still go on and do what you want to do with the fear. It's not going to kill you, I promise you. It takes a while to get to this mind state of feeling like, you can achieve the things that you set out to do, but you'll be fine, I promise you. A big one that I've been working on in therapy is the fear of re-traumatization. You've experienced one trauma in the past and you have this constant nagging fear that's going to happen again. The answer to this is empowerment. You have to empower yourself. I've been around a lot of narcissists in my life, and I realized that even though I didn't grow up as a materialistic person or somebody that was obsessed with finances and money and material things, I have come to learn that the only language that narcissists understand is wealth and money. Money to them is power. So money is just one way you can empower yourself. You can empower yourself with boundaries. You can empower yourself with self-love. You can empower yourself with connecting with just positive, kind souls that can really help uplift you in life. So many layers of empowerment that you should really think of if you really want to overcome the fear of being re-traumatized. And if the people are still in your life that have caused harm, you need to get rid of them. You might love them to death, but you need to get rid of them immediately, because you're going to keep on doing what they've done, because there are people that have not really faced their own traumas to heal. So they're going to give it to you as a gift. Like, you need to share in that misery, because misery loves company, and you don't want to do that. You have a life to live. You have dreams to chase. You have pursuits to engage in. So leave them people and focus on yourself and heal. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. And I'm going to leave this here for this episode. Nothing happened to you. They did not do anything to you. They did everything for you. And when you heal, you're going to start counting all the ways that the negative experiences you've had in life happened for you. It happened for you. It didn't happen to you. You might feel physical symptoms. You might have mental symptoms. You might have mental illnesses, different issues that you're dealing with, but it happened for you. And it's your job to harness the benefits of your trauma. There is duality in our reality. There is duality. Like, there's two sides of everything. Like, a gun can cause harm, but a gun can also protect. So if something causes harm, understand that it also has its positive side as well. And as you heal, you sort of move closer to the positive end of things. I love you, and I'm wishing you all the best on your healing journey. It's gonna be a long journey, but know that I'm here. I plan to do this for a while, so just know that I'm supporting you. I love you, and I'm wishing you all the best. And it's gonna be fine. It's hard. Sometimes it gets hard, but it's gonna be fine. I love you, and keep doing it. I believe in you.